Hi guys, George here, and today I'm going to bring to you a fact-filled, information-filled video with respect to skulking, a few other tips, and some news. Let's begin by skulking. Now, the topic of skulking came up because I was discussing on Facebook scenario 3 from Starter Kit, which is simple equation. And in that particular instance, I was arguing that, hey, listen, if you skulk as a German player, you basically have an assured victory. Now, what is skulking? Skulking is basically the ability to force your opponent to prep fire in lieu of advancing or moving to their objective, while denying targets of opportunity during your opponent's defensive fire phase. So basically, you you show enough force uh, when his movement phase arises to thwart his advance or to make him think twice before moving. Then, when it's his opportunity to fire on you, either during the prep or more likely defensive fire, you just move out of his line of sight, only to advance back for the following phase to again present enough um, deterrence towards him to deny him any movement towards location. So skulking is a tactic or a strategy, if you may, that is used when you're the defender and the objective of your opponent is to capture a certain area in the battlefield. So with that said, as an example, I'm going to bring you a play-by-play action of Starter Kit 3, um, the simple equation. And in this case, I feel that my opponent used skulking very effectively, so I should demonstrate that gameplay to you. So without any further ado, let's get started. But before we get started, we'll have a zip of, this is what we're drinking tonight, Twinings, right? Earl Grey, very good stimulant for the brain and for um, sugaring off. It's no calorie sweetener by Walmart. Great value. And it's actually, I had to take some sugar today, and I can tell you for a fact, in terms of taste, this tastes sweeter than sugar itself. I mean, maybe it's my imagination. So let's take a zip here. And before we go any further, if you guys are on, you know, short of time, you can speed up the video at 2 times, 1.5, 1.75, as you prefer. I think I should wait a little. It's still too hot. As you can see, my glasses are fogging up. All right, we'll wait for that. Let's take a look at the board. So this is scenario 3. Let's enlarge it. Simple equation. This is Neil Uden's chart. Thinking of making my own. So you can get it from aslplayers.net. I'm not sure if this is the right date, but we did play it recently. Oh well. So here's my setup as the American. Straight line. And is it going to be a straight line of advance? Not particularly. What I was aiming to do is form a fire group here with my prized leader to thwart these guys away. And from this location, you also have line of sight deep into here, actually from here to there. And then if I'm able to advance past this 436, all my units here, and form a little fire group here, I can push this guy back with my superior firepower. So let's see how things unfold. Turn 1 Americans, let's get into the action. It's starter kit, so there's no weather. So far we were moving impeded until we got to this location, and he saw a good target of opportunity. Oops, let's go back, there we go. He's going to take that shot and get a 1 KIA. Everybody else just advances, and Jones is in a very good position up there, and he is the target of attention for all the German units. However, they didn't fare too well with high dice rolls. And over here, I chickened out. I didn't want to cross the road like a chicken, so I just went as far as that. And then, now, the path that this unit took here is the path that Moriarty should have taken. So he could advance up here right away. That could have been a game changer as well. Here I have some final fire and a little bit of a fire group going on in my direction. Decided to split up the fire group in two. Wasn't effective at all in terms of advance fire. I did not forget that these units here have assault fire. So what does that mean? Assault fire, I mean within normal range. So ordinarily, I would have to have the firepower to 3, and I get an extra point. So each unit is 4 firepower factors as opposed to 3. It makes a difference. So 3 and 3, instead of making it 6, it would have been an 8 up for 5 attack there. Because what was ultimately revealed is that this hex is one of the 2 fortified buildings. So in this scenario, the fortified location differs by SSR. It's not a location in itself. If I were to fortify this location, that location would have been fortified automatically as well. And there's only ground level. You don't have to worry about upper levels. What I was doing wrong when I started off with Starter Kit, I was using the wrong color. Instead of using green, I was using gray, which is level 1 in the full game. So here we are, more advancing fire, which was all ineffective. And more or less, this is the turn 1 advance phase. We advanced into the road, whoop-de-doo. After this hex, he has a 2 even shot. Big deal. Now it's German player turn 1. He's prep firing instead of skulking. But in effect, he has a defense in depth here, right? He didn't expose all his units to me. So in effect, he is skulking, right? So let's continue. He managed to DM one of these guys. Guess with a good lucky shot, below an average roll, but it's fine. And now he's moving some units up. Now that he knows where the crux of my attack is coming from. So he denied an opportunity for me to fire at him by not placing units around here or up here. But he took his time and advanced higher, and I would have to figure out exactly how to get Steiner and Mueller out of the game. Here I am final firing. I did manage to break one of his units. It's a conscript, whoop-de-doo. And another unit here was the leader. Leader's going to bounce back. And ultimately, he doesn't have to route back. And I kind of explained it, and I've been explaining in my videos for the boys that are coming from Classic Squad Leader. The boys that are coming from Classic Squad Leader tend to put these 8-0 and 7-0 leaders back as opposed to putting them up front, and they should be up front because they can't cause a leader loss task check or morale check, even if they're goners, because they have the same morale as most of the units there, right? Anywho, moving rather along, let's take a look at the turn chart. We're going to begin soon the American turn 2. And now we're doing some loss checks so we can route. And there's some advancing. It's my turn 2. And I'm prep firing, which is a mistake. You can advance into the open and then advance again. And then if he breaks you, you simply route back one location. if you have a place to route, you're routed. But if he's firing at you and is missing, that's a different story. You know? Here we have some cowering. This is firing back. Now I'm deciding to play it safe and smoke and move. If he gets a lucky shot, I'm really in a bad position. Moriarty makes it up. The flamethrower makes it up. A 4-up 3 shot, which was ineffective there. Now, this fire group is firing over there, over at C3. He really wants to wreck these squads, but he wasn't too successful, as you can see. But again, he doesn't need to eliminate me. He just needs to delay me. Now, I found a strategy that works for the Americans is to advance up the middle here with your prized leaders and form a fire group that will kind of scatter uh, the Germans away from the front line, allowing some of your units to advance. That kind of works. I did it solo and it worked. And I'm also playing now the Germans, and I think that I use Stu's strategy of setting up the conscripts up here. I'm not too sure if I delayed them sufficiently. Um, and as you'll see, the other tactic that he employed as the as the Germans was the Alamo tactic. You know, the rally point. Everybody breaks. They route back to a location where they can fend off and defend in force, in numbers, and cut off the lanes of advance. It's pretty awesome. That tea is delicious. Sorry, guys. Still hot, but it's great. So there's some routing, but he still has some units that can get a lucky shot from on the advancing Americans, and then if you're out of the picture, you're out of the picture. If you're in the graveyard, you can't do much fighting. Hill's repositioning because Hill has a good line of sight there. Decided to route his leader, and he didn't have to really. The worst that could have happened is would keep him DM. Anyway, bad morale check there. ELR is the guy. Now the Americans are doing their job and they're firing and just simply breaking the units. Now here comes the skulking. Here comes the skulking. See that? He's denying me. He moved. He moved back. He is denying me the opportunity to fire at him. Right? So the only valuable target I have is the heavy machine gun over there with Steiner and a broken squad from Hill. I think the best I can do there is probably just DM the broken squad. See what happens. Monty is rolling bad morale checks. German player there. Task checks. A lot of good that will do anybody. There I rolled only an average shot. I'm not sure why I didn't fire Jones. I could have fired Jones. And I was going to most likely advance back into where he can. See? There he goes. That's the skulking maneuver. Right? I remember back in the video game days, I wasn't playing, but I was watching a friend play. And he was playing Halo, I believe. And of course, he would reload. He would have to reload his weapon. More often than not, I was observing that he was reloading out in the open. Get some cover, reload, then pop back up and start firing. When you're reloading, you should be reloading under cover, not with your head wide open. You're just giving the enemy the opportunity to aim and fire and kill you. So that's a no-no. Now he's forcing me to prep fire because this fellow has covered this area, plus this fellow has covered that area. This fellow here has LOS to J2, and forget about advancing here, but am I going to advance in any case? Trying. He drew his fire, and I did attempt smoke at least one occasion, and it was so useless. Just pin my unit, roll the 6. Now it's do or die, because look, it's turn 3, it's a 6.5 turn scenario, right? So we're moving. No blood, no glory. More firing. Here comes Turner. And now we got, since these guys drew fire from long distance and a little bit of cover, because there's orchards in his path, right? These guys can walk up unimpeded. And his fire was pretty ineffective. His fire was pretty ineffective. And was it necessary? Oh, well, perhaps it was. It did instigate him to fire. It did push him to fire. So that was good. It wasn't so bad. Here we go again. We captured the fortified building and in force, as you can see, 2 units, not one. We did lay residuals all over the place, but nothing worth bragging about. Here I'm rolling low, but just getting pin checks. Here's how the situation looks like by American turn 3. But keep in mind, I have to capture 25 building hexes. So it's not 25 buildings, it's 25 building hexes. There you go. All right, we'll pause and load the second log. And here we are back with the second log, and it's German turn 3. I managed to advance into this building. Some units were pinned all the way back there. I hightailed it all the way up here, and now the German position seems to be looking a bit precarious. Now, you may ask, what is this guy doing up there, CX? And the best way to counter Skulking is to bait him into firing so he doesn't move. So I'm giving him an excellent shot there, but I got at least a 12 up 3 shot in one of his units, even if he eliminates this dude, right? Now, I already lost one squad, and you really need all the squads in play in order to be effective in this game, and you also need to move. And the problem with this strategy is that these two leaders are far apart from one another, too far apart in order to do too much damage to the Germans. So here we go. Some ineffective rallies. I did allow him to rally in a snake eyes. Rules on a snake eyes on one. Eliminated this fellow with a 3 shot. 3 up, 3 even. 3 even. Was there a leader disrupted around there? No. Alright. Okay. It does have rate, and here there is no covered arch. There is no covered arc, fixing covered arc of heavies or mediums in this game, uh, unlike in the advanced game. So you can swing that heavy around and fire in all directions. And starter kit, good old starter kit. Beer and pretzels game, I say. Here I'm doing now my prep fire, which is always great to do prep fire. I mean final fire and defensive fire. Defensive fire is good. Nothing good happens in prep fire. The words of the wise Major David Garden. Final fire is always good. Defensive fire, especially if it's effective. And you saw that long range shot from here to there, but I rolled a 10. A 10 up 1 on the, I was probably an 8 shot. Yeah. No, 6 shot. A 6 shot. 4 for the HMMG and half for the half firepower for the squad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. It was a 6 up 1 shot. And I rolled a 10. Here I am firing again. That's probably a 6 up 3 shot. Just the aiming, everybody. Well, this time we fired all the way down there. With a 6 up 4, you're not going to get much. Now you got some advancing fire going on by the Germans. And a lot around him. I moves back up. Here's the Skulking. Before he was nowhere to be seen, but now he's presenting a target. And he's presenting firepower to slow me down. But at this point, there's two facts to be aware of. One, um, once the Americans come within range, meaning within 6 X's from you, they're going to exert a lot of firepower on you. Number two, and the unfortunate fact for the Americans is we've already been slowed down by this line that looks like a good linebacker line from football sufficiently to thwart um, a capture of 25 building hexes. Even if I went CX, the number of American squads that penetrated the German lines is insufficient. And unfortunately, I don't have any armor or vehicles to do a little thunder run, like to do in the Ukraine. Um, right. And I've done that thunder run tactic before in Squad Leader, even with a truck. Always fun. All right. Remember, for the purposes of routing, a truck is still a known enemy unit. Uh-oh. There are some bad rolls there. I squatted. Rolled boxcars on a rally. But look at this defense. It's like a football gameplay. Wow. Now we got some prep fire on my behalf. We got a pin. I was going to take that because look, I'm in the process of pushing these fellows forward. Now, it's a good thing that he put a fortified building there because the ideal position for the Americans to penetrate is here because all these hindrances are in the way, and there's the density of buildings here is far greater than on this side of the board. If you can see that. And now we're already into German turn, no, American turn 4. There we go. And I was just introducing the concept of a covered arc, a machine gun covered arc to him. But we didn't play that in Starter Kit. There's Corporal Curious firing again. And it's almost pointless to prep fire with the Americans, especially if they have assault fire. Moving along, now he's defensive firing during my movement phase because I'm trying to move up. I am pressing the attack now with movement, and I'm getting lucky so far to some extent. And if you look at our rolls, he has 6.76. I think I have 6.76. No, he has 6.76. What did I have? Oh, darn it, I didn't really, check to see uh, my average. Oh well. Uh, I picked up I picked up the flamethrower, and it is American Twin Force though. Moving up, I formed a fire group here. So in order to pick that fire group, he really has to fire the squad in the middle, the monkey in the middle. He knows that. And this time, he only broke the fellow with the flamethrower, the squad with the flamethrower, but didn't eliminate it. He's trying to really wreck the flank of that line of fire, but it ain't working. Now we're advancing fire back and trying to get up close and personal. The strangest thing is, though, that these leaders were not leading the attack. They were all the way in the back, acting like little fire groups, bastions of fire. And, wasn't working. Well, check that out. Finally made it up. He managed to rally most of the squads. So I still have my work cut out for me, and there's a little bit of an Alamo defense going on. So at this point, I'm realizing it's looking hopeless for the Americans. Yeah, a little bit of fire going on. Rally. Turner ends up popping back up. We end up in melee here. And notice I only put one squad in melee because I have 3-2 odds here. He has 1-2. And used the other squad to really maneuver. That was a really lucky shot, right? From here to there, rolls a 2. Uh, doesn't cower because he does cower. And I rolled a. It's so easy to roll something over a 6 and get them the end. That was a good morale check. There's a 12 on the IFT, which was really bad. I think he wrecked his LMG there. Anyway, a lot of DM counters for the Americans. So look, the Americans are advancing practically into open ground, except for here. The little path going into here, but still, getting past the woods here is problematic, to say the least. So I captured three or four building hexes. Now I'm exerting really effective defensive fire, breaking everyone. Here we have some routes. Guess we can see that. And at a certain point in time, I just concede the game. They were just chit-chatting about road paths and legitimate road paths. I just eliminated a squad there, which opens up a good window of opportunity. But basically what he did to thwart that attack is, he maneuvered certain uh, units in this direction so he could prohibit movement of the units over here. Over here, he still has a powerful force to be reckoned with. And up here, advancing through the woods, even if I were to throw smoke, it really was not conducive to a proper attack. This guy should have hightailed it, and this guy should have hightailed it when the opportunity arose, and he didn't. There was a big missed opportunity there. I'm pretty sure now I'm playing the Germans. I'm pretty sure he has a good plan to thwart my attack, my defense. Now, those 12s on the rally attempts, they really are bad. And in the classic game, the 12s and the rallies are not destructive all the time. So, but in ASL, they are. You don't need to be fired upon in order to casualty reduce. There are pretty average rolls on the IFT, but everybody's pretty much intact. 2 fire bases. Instead of being fire bases, they should have been advancing at every given opportunity. Here we are advancing. Right? So now this unit has a free-for-all, more or less. That unit broke, this unit broke. So now there's plenty of opportunity to advance, but where are we going to advance with this Alamo defense? Oh, well, Monty is from Texas. Remember the Alamo. If he doesn't remember the Alamo, who will? I kind of forget about the Alamo. Davy Crockett. I ain't from Texas. Gee, more fire. And I'm about to take another fortified building with my American force. Pretty happy about that, but and kind of forced this fellow to rout. Wish I advanced this fellow here to DD4. Where would he have routed if I moved to there? All right, if I moved into there, this squad, then he would have to route. We couldn't route there, couldn't route there, and he could probably route low crawl to there on his way to there, even with this guy here. That's where he would have gone. Now I got myself a brand new, shiny German heavy machine gun. Only 4 portage points. I can throw it around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Probably only capable of having half at the most. Because he still has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units left that can wreak havoc on me. Where are we at? Turn 5. So there's 1.5 turns left to capture. Let's see how many we have. No, maybe 1, 2. This doesn't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The most I could capture probably would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16, and I needed 25. Well, 16. Perhaps a couple more here. Yeah, maybe I gave up too easily. Maybe I was too despondent. This guy ended up rallying, yeah, a little half squad. Look at this fellow move around. He comes here, he can fire, he can protect this lane here, and can protect my advance from here. So he jumped around here, boom, down to there. And he already has 2 of my 3 units broken, 1 ELR. Another guy broken here. Another dude is broken there. So the amount of squads that I have to press the attack now have diminished greatly. And he still can cover most of this area of the board. Trying to fire at him. He's doing this little skulk again. Trying to fire as much as I can. These dudes are gone, but here's the Alamo right here. Now he routes away. Low crawls. And that's because he couldn't see this unit here. And he advances back. And that's pretty much it. So I hope I kind of explained what skulking is, and I hope I presented a good example of what skulking should look like, and it'll give you a reference. The other tip that I want to bring to you, and I forgot to mention it in my previous video, let me bring it up, is Jim Bishop saw this video that I did about Molotov cocktails, and he kind of said that the easiest way to think about the DRMs for Molotov cocktails and Panzerfausts is just to look at the counter. When you add in the DRM, it turns out you have to roll an original DR less than or equal to the number of silhouettes on the counter. Now you only have to remember one DRM, and that's the -1 for late war Panzerfaust checks. The DRMs for Axis miners are sadly different, so I have to look those up every time. And I guess he's referring to probably some rules that were introduced with not Doom Battalions, but or Hollow Legions. Forget the module where the Axis miners are introduced. Darn, darn, double darn. So basically, what that means is that, and this tip you can take it to the bank in Starter Kit as well. Um, so you got to remember -1 for a late war. I'm not sure if it's 44 or 45, possibly 45. And you want to do a Panzerfaust check, and you can do a Panzerfaust check in Starter Kit. Here, that's a 1. This is less than or equal to 2, and this would be less than or equal to 3. And then 6 forfeits your movement. That's pretty much it. The other thing that I wanted to discuss with you is, let me bring up the story. Hold on a moment. Is this. So, Axis and Allies and other classic Avalon board games will soon have a new publisher, and it's Polygon Games. So we're talking about Axis and Allies, which I have in my shelfie up here, Diplomacy, Squad Leader, and what do they mean by Squad Leader is Classic Squad Leader, and Robo Rally. Now I've heard a lot of stories and Heroescape. Heroescape. I also have Heroescape, and all these games are very nostalgic. They have a very uh, nostalgic value. I think they've made a great bet. Um, but if they're going the route of Kickstarter, I'm certainly not going to um, participate in Kickstarter. I have an aversion to Kickstarter. If you want to sell me a game, put it on the shelf, and then I'll buy it. That's my um, uh, that's my call on that. Now, with respect to Classic Squad Leader, I heard a lot of stories and hypotheses about, hey, maybe MPs should sue them. How can you do this? You certainly can, because the squad leader license and the advanced squad leader license are two different things. Um, Squad leader, classic squad leader, basically the John Hill game that was introduced back in the late 1970s. Now, this is advanced squad leader, and what classic squad leader entails is, I've got 3 different copies, and they're all only um, they're only what are they? They're only second edition, not fourth edition. Is this game, right? And it's standalone. It's standalone, and basically what you got here, you got infantry, you got um, you have ordnance, and you have vehicles. You have trucks as well, and half squads. And this is all the counters. I have 2 storage trays, and these are GMT storage trays, right? And some baggies. You've got all you you need. Now, how did I fit GMT trays in an Avalon Hill box? I just cut a little 1/8 of plastic here, and it fits perfectly, right? And it's actually one tray and a bit of baggies for the star shells and whatnot. And that's all you need, really. And this is the rule book. The rule book is standalone, and it starts with 2.1 actually. Where's one? Oh, one is the introduction, and then it ends with rule. Give me a moment. got 63.6. Here you go. This is Classic Squad Leader. It has its own rule set. You don't need any other rule set. And the other modules are really not Classic Squad Leader, in my opinion. They just added to the complexity. And they pretty much precipitated the evolution to Advanced Squad Leader. So I had paid through PayPal. Everything was fine and dandy. And you have your original scenarios. I still haven't separated them. And here's the quick reference card. Right? And you have mounted boards, and I'm not going to show you that, but they pretty much are the same as as the advanced, with the exception that there were some changes done to these map boards as the game evolved. The game was a victim of its own success because as the rules progressed, they became a little bit contradictory. People found ways to cheat the rules, and that kind of made some people angry. And I'll tell you one thing. This is a beer and pretzels game. If you're not playing it competitively, you're playing it casually, and you're playing it a friendly game, it's great. If you're playing it competitively and you're adopting all these rules and conventions and whatnot, it just loses flavor. But in terms of, let me give you an example, okay? Just before the pandemic, I had a friend come over, a family friend come over, and we typically play all sorts of board games when my family friends come over. And they looked at the game on the bookcase. Now, there's no way I could introduce them to all the rules in ASL right off the bat and get going. But this is pretty easy compared to even starter kit or regular advanced squad leader. You know, it's a beer and pretzels game, and you can get it started. You can introduce the phases and how the mechanics of the fires work. It's very elementary in terms of penetration and whatnot. That's it. That's all. So I'm guessing Polygon Games is betting on a little bit of nostalgia and that they'll make money. I know that Neil Youdland remarked that he would buy it. Just to confirm a few things, I asked, I sent them an email, and the response was, "Hi George, Charlie Hall. I'm the reporter who wrote the story. M&P did get in touch on Twitter to point out that SL and ASL are in fact different licenses, and things will proceed as they have going forward. Thanks for reading." Right? And if you look at the Wikipedia article, right, you will note that this history, and there was an article which I read that confirms this. I'm not sure if it's in the footnotes. Typically, there are footnotes here. Well, let's take a look at the footnotes later. But up here, they talk about the demise of Avalon Hill and how M&P came along and bought the license for ASL, but not the license for SL. So it's around here. In 1998, Monarch Avalon Inc. sold its entire line of games to Hasbro. On January 15, 1999, Multiman Publishing, LLC, MMP, announced an exclusive association with Hasbro Inc. to develop, produce, and distribute games and other products from Avalon Hill's Advanced Squad Leader game system. MMP is a gaming company founded in 1994 by Perry Koch and Brian Hughes, and later co-partner Kurt Schilling, to preserve ASL and other Avalon Hill games. Multiman Publishing made many changes to the new system. A decision not to reprint the earlier Squad Leader games resulted in reorganization and second editions of many ASL core modules in order to include boards from the earlier games necessary to play the printed scenarios in those core modules. Playtester John Mission forgive me if I mispronounce this, described the new game rather more succinctly in Volume 21, Number 5 of the General Magazine. In relation to Squad Leader, he wrote that the game was closely akin to SL, but not the same game. Knowing both rule sets and Classic more than ASL, I can tell you that although the graphics are the same, the two game systems is like night and day. With ASL being more refined, more error-free, and more fluid, and less prone to rule cheating. That worked in the old, and ASL took longer to play, punished the use of cheats that worked in the old game system, which I'm not too fond of, but you know. One example was flooding an isolated defending unit by moving multiple units towards him. In ASL, units could fire more than once at moving targets in certain situations, which was impossible in the original SL, and emphasize realism over playability. ASL does emphasize realism over playability. Period. He clarified that while playability had in many cases increased with the organization of new rules, there are still many special circumstances that called for special rules. The new rules did, however, have a very strong systematic approach whereby, in the words, you could, blah, blah, blah. Now, ASL and how Don Greenwood developed ASL came under criticism. They were saying it was a betrayal, a cash grab, blah, blah, blah. To me, it was a natural evolution, a correction of what was done wrong in the past. And I swear by ASL. I still play Classic and don't pass judgment. And it's a game that you can play more casually, I suppose. And if you take it from that perspective, you'll enjoy the game. If you try to play Squad Leader on a more competitive level, you'll probably experience the same frustration experience ASLers have experienced now. So with that said, I am looking forward to a new printout of this baby. It's all nice and dandy, but I do swear by this system, and if I can learn it, you can too. So enjoy playing ASL, starter kit, and classic if you may, with a beer and pretzels on the side. And that's it for now. Hope to see you next week. Roll, and have a great weekend, guys. Take care.